So I figured out what the Christian religion really is all about, and I'm going to present some interesting viewpoints about it. In the first place, let's look at the Trinity. The Trinity is God, that is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The way I arrived at this meaning is through this whole notion of spirituality, beauty being something that at once is separate from the world, is connected with the world, and is pervasive throughout the world. So basically, God would be the part of the beauty which is separate from the world. That would be the other. That would be the mystery. This mysterious fact that we exist in secular terms. Christ is you and me. That's what's beautiful about him. He's the personification of everything truly human, the manifestation of beauty in the world. And the Holy Spirit is the pervasion of beauty in the world. The fact that everything is beautiful, basically. And you know what I've realized? It's our culture that really blocks the understanding of this. Scientific culture, modern culture, modernity, is most akin basically to Gnosticism. Gnosticism is the notion that we do not belong here. Materialism, scientific materialism, always puts things at the distance of objectivity, ignoring our connectedness with it. Really, there's no object of your consciousness which isn't, in a sense, inseparable from your mind. Things seem to impose themselves onto us in a crazy way. It's all a part of me. There's no definite line between where my mind ends and the world begins. It's beautiful. It's really a dreamscape. I'm sitting across right now from Carl's Jr. You know what I really want to do? I really want to go in there and climb up in that tube there and just hang out. I'm afraid to do it. It's my dragon, man. I just want to go in there and ask them, or not even ask them, but to just go in there, and just kind of go into the play place, and they're like, hey bro, that's kind of creepy. And it's like, nah, but I haven't done this in years, man. Do you really care? I want to just go in there and ask, hey bro, it's a weird question, and it's going to be totally creepy, but would you mind if I actually climbed in your playpen? I mean, I just haven't done that in years, and I just was really curious about what it would be like. I'm having this weird nostalgia night, and I'm not high, I swear, but I really want to go there, Why not, I think this is what Christianity is supposed to be. Our educational system has turned into something totally different. Even our educational system is like a continuation of this whole church system, if you think about it. It always gives us all these moral rules from the literal interpretation of religion. In a sense, the literal interpretation of science is also pretty bad. I mean, science is great, science is beautiful, but people are terrible. People think that there are facts in science, but really, science is our attempt to understand things. And I've always felt like science is that you can make a distinction between the nominal world and the phenomenal world. The nominal world is what we know in philosophy, and the phenomenal world is what we don't know. The phenomenal world would probably be science and our attempts to know things and our opinions and whatever and our debates. We live a lot in that. But the nominal world is the immediate experience. So in that sense, Christianity is totally a fact. Because, what could be more simple and direct than your identification with the mystery of life? I mean, there are no opinions about that. That is the question. The answers are the things we're not sure about. The Buddhist view. The Buddhist view is the notion that I should let all this go. Don't try to hold on to it. Don't even necessarily make the most of it. But that's a very ascetic Buddhist view. I'm not sure if I'm big on that. I much prefer the what do you call it? Mahayana view, although I do like the Theravada view. I do like the ascesis and the letting go and the detachment, and yet I really just sometimes just want to climb in a playpen. Like, I honestly like have all these dreams which are just these elaborate arrangements in my mind of playpens like that, you know? And it's like, you know how you'll find how there's this whole notion of sublimation that Freud came out with, the notion that all civilization is a manifestation of our inner desires. Well, I think it works backwards. I think that in our dreams, our repressed wishes do come out, and like we find all these excuses not to just have a good time, have a good fucking time, you know. And so, in my dreams, I'll be like climbing in these places, and it's like an elaborate, like huge maze, and that's like my mind at once complicating my existence, telling me all the reasons why I shouldn't just have fun in the material world. You know, Christianity is taken to be a rejection of the material world. It's really not. It's just you realize this is the whole point. There is a mystery to it. You shouldn't get too attached to any one part of the spiritual world, and yet on the of the material world, and yet at the same time to realize that every part of it is really a manifestation of the spiritual world, and really everything, and really the spiritual world and the material world are no different. But you have to treat them that way to make decisions. And if you just pretend that they're not different, you can't make decisions. You're just fooling yourself. Because then that rules out another possibility, that they are different, and so even saying that they're not different is one-sided, if that makes sense. It's crazy, I know. Anyway, I'm in Poway right now, just vlogging, because I'm too much of a chicken shit to do things. You know, I've been wondering a lot about God recently. Does God exist? I've been preaching about him in my poetry, but I haven't really raised it as a question. In a certain sense, Joseph Campbell's right, and everything that we say about God is just the personification of our fears. Like, when we're afraid to, it's like the experience, being confronted with experience, the experiencing of our own fear of experience is the experience of God. You know, I think usually I give atheists a lot of bullshit, but only in the phenomenal way of speaking, and only in the theoretical way of speaking, by saying, look, I mean, you can't rule out the possibility of God simply because you haven't experienced it. In other words, being very clever and very un-Christian and very un-Buddhist, I'm saying, the facts seem to be that you can prove the existence of something through immediate experience, but you can't prove the non-existence of it, because simply because you haven't had the experience doesn't mean that it's not an experience. And that's a very beautiful argument. It's an incredibly mysterious argument. In fact, I'm very keen to buy into it. However, on the other hand, you could say, look, God is just a limitation. God is the sum of our indoctrinations. God is a barrier, and you have to get past that guy, because he's the guardian at the gates. Joseph Campbell said, our God is the guardian to the Japanese gates, and the Buddha is really what matters, the bliss, the garden of bliss, and not the guardian of the gates who tells you thou shalt not, you know? It's a mess, and all your fears of losing this moment. Maybe I'm not afraid of God, maybe I'm afraid of losing God. I think that's really what it is. But then why should I be afraid of that? You know, in this sense, atheism is perfectly clear. Atheism just doesn't complicate things, you know? I guess I'm just afraid of heartbreak, because I think, you know, there was this one time when I was coming back from this high school, and it was the first place I'd ever had a speech and debate tournament, and I was judging a tournament there. And I was just there, and I loved the buildings, I loved the architecture. And then, fuck, this woman who was driving me home so charitably couldn't fucking stop talking about Jesus. I'm like, at one point I just covered my ear like this and hoped that she didn't see, or hoped that she did see, because I just didn't want to talk about God when something so much better is right there. And it's a kind of conditioning, you know, and it's why I've been kind of afraid to really relate with my own spirituality recently. Because I love people, and that's another part of the Buddhist way of life. Anyway, that's my vlog. Less ideological, more just living it up, you know, being young, being alive, not being so much my name, but being my confused little ego, or clambering for some kind of awakening. I really like art. It's a total farce. Anyway, I think that, the next step is DMT. I'm kind of kidding, I'm kind of not. I feel like, you know, part of me just wants to just escape the human world as it is. And like, if I made a movie about human life and death and everything, the whole experience, there would be a long sequence at the end which would be kind of about as weird, if you could make fair comparisons to that Stanley Kubrick film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, where they're basically going through this thing, and well, in this dream, basically what happens is, and I love the creativity, man, it's the best thing ever. Basically, they're going and and you arrive and you encounter these beings, and you realize you're like in the infantile state again, and it's like a Rilke poem, and everything's just so weird because it's like you can go to any moment or any place in time. You can travel 4-dimensionally, you can travel 5th-dimensionally, whatever. Just ascend to this dimension where every moment in your life is a separate place, and you have to like you can like revise parts in your life and make them perfect and create a new human experience and work with these agents to create human life to make it less tragic. And you wonder, do you really want to do this? You know, that would make for some good science fiction. That's pretty DMT right there, judging by what I've heard about DMT. I think I tried smoking DMT once, but it didn't work. I don't know. I really don't get high on as much as people think I do. This is the one thing I really tried, and it occurs naturally, you know. I think my dream interpretations have led me to the place that DMT brings you to anyway. Dreams are a DMT trip anyway, supposedly. Anyway, that's Dimitri. I'm out now. I think I'm just craving something superhuman. I've had the human. I just want to have something not romantic, not human. I just want something out there, like schizophrenic status, but not in a creepy way, you know. Not in a, oh my god, the world's plotting against me way. A visionary experience, not a mystical experience. That's what I want. And that's what you should want! Sorry, my Alex Jones impersonation. You know, I just want to be a crazy cat. I just want to be a joker. I don't want to be a monk. Anyway, that's my vlog. So much joy talking to a camera, basically talking to myself. I'm such a fucking narcissist. I should kill myself. I'm just kidding. See ya.